Hello, everybody. Candlelighting time this evening is 424. We've now entered into a new month, the month of Shvat. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh Shvat, the first day of the month. The Torah tells us that on this day, the first day of Shvat, there was a great event that took place, a very important event, and that was that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, repeated the Torah to the Jewish people in 70 languages. Now, of course, the obvious question is, what was the purpose of that? The Jewish people spoke Hebrew. What was the purpose of repeating the entire Torah to the Jewish people in 70 languages? The Rebbe explains that God created the world with Hebrew, with Lashon HaKodesh. He spoke to Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve in Hebrew. And they spoke to their children in Hebrew. All the generations, all the way down to the time of the flood and beyond, everybody spoke Hebrew. It was just one language that everybody spoke. Now, a number of generations after the flood, the people had learned their lesson from the people of the flood. The flood came because the people were divided. They hated each other. There was a lot of cheating and lying, stealing and robbing from each other. And the people who came after the generation of the flood, that were all destroyed because of that, they learned their lesson and they were all together. They were united. They all spoke one language. They felt that they were one people. And sometimes unity, which is very good, sometimes a very good thing, if it's too much, can be wrong, can be bad. Because the unity that they had went to their head and they felt that they were the all-powerful concept in the world. They were the strongest power on earth, but they also wanted to be the strongest power in heaven. And for that, they had to destroy, so to speak, or get rid of the Almighty. And to do that, they had to build a tower. Excuse me. They had to build a tower that would reach up into the heavens so they can fight against God. So they started building this tower. And of course, God looked down and said, I'll have to put a stop to that. And he divided them into different languages. So they couldn't continue the work. In order to work together, you have to be able to speak one language. When one person asks for a pail of sand and the guy hands him a hammer, and he threw the hammer at him and they got it all into a big fight and they had to dismantle the building of this tower. And each group of people went to different parts of the world and they all spoke different languages. That was the beginning of the 70 languages of the world. The bottom line is that because of their sin of rebelling against God, it resulted in disunity, in divisiveness, which is not exactly how the Torah wants us to live, how God wants us to live. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he wanted to bring back the concept of unity into the world, into the 70 nations. And the way he did that was by teaching the Torah, which is a Torah that comes from the one God. And that one God, the oneness of God, is permeated in the Torah. And by saying the Torah in 70 languages, he brought back the oneness of godliness through the Torah back into the nations of the world, the 70 nations. So we see from here the tremendous importance of unity. The rabbis tell us that when we experience brotherly love, Avos Yisrael, of one Jew to another, that hastens the coming of Mashiach, and that should happen very, very soon. Have a wonderful, meaningful, and joyous Shabbos.